Hi guys, welcome back to Be on Flex with Sharina, and I am called Sharina. Yo, I'm trying to upload a YouTube video that I just made. Hi, how are you doing? How is tonight? What are y'all up to? Here's a mess because I've been running around all morning. Alright, let's do this. It's gonna be for later. Premiere. Alright. Hi guys. Welcome. I'm gonna give you guys time to settle in, and then we are going to start the story, the continuation. This story was actually not supposed to be continued until I got permission from my mom. And that's why we're here today. How are you guys doing? What are you up to? What are you doing? How's your evening? I have my tea with me, but I am uploading actually a YouTube video right now. Hi, how you doing tonight? I look tired, y'all. I've been running around all morning. I don't think I've sat. We have a live for members later on tonight. I've been so busy trying to also like upload for YouTube. So, but we have a live stretch tonight for members. If you haven't become a member, you could do that to access more stretches. But we are going to start in a few minutes. Just tell me what's up in the comments, how y'all doing. I know, ooh, and it was so cold today. So cold. I look tired. Okay, so tomorrow, 22nd. Alright. I don't know. I really want to put this at full. Tell me about your day before we get started. We are continuing the story of my mom after the wedding, but actually I'm going to take you guys back a little bit. Let me finish this so that we go back a little bit, like how my mom gets saved. I did not tell you guys how she actually got saved, and she told me because I did not have the data with me, and I had a chance to ask her. And yeah, she told me. I don't know if I should actually try to put this at like 6 a.m. You guys be up at 6 a.m. and be on your phones? I feel like everyone be running to work, so maybe when people are winding down, I don't know if I should put it at actually 7 tomorrow. Let me see. I'm still contemplating between what time I should actually pause the video today. I mean tomorrow. 7 a.m. 7:15, 7:30 p.m. p.m. Okay, maybe I'll put it at. What time do you guys think people are active on Thursdays? Give me a little hint. I'll go with whatever. I'll go with whatever you tell me makes. I was supposed to work on my hair that I actually want to start wearing for videos, but couldn't do it. And my cup of tea, it's too cold today. Anytime I really need a time period today. That is the problem. Let me say 12, 12, 12. Rock, paper, scissors. Let's do it. Rock, paper, scissors. I don't know how to do rock, paper, scissors actually. Isn't that like not? What are you doing, robot? Glad to see you guys tune in actually. We are soon starting. 3:30 p.m. Okay, I'll put it at 1 p.m. Ah, I don't like that. Okay, I'll just do 1 p.m. Good afternoon. How you doing? We are soon starting the story, and it's gonna be set as primer. Okay. That's great. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Do you think I'm bald? You should be talking about yourself, actually. Every time you wake up and go in that mirror and you actually have no hair on your head because you're balding, you think everybody is. I'm not bald. I got hair and I've ever showed it. And I don't care about you. Hi, wish you. Did I say that right? Wish you. It's more like that. Go ask your mama. So, guys, let's be in the right spirit. Let's be in a good spirit. We're going to narrate the story. Do not ruin the mood. If you're not interested, get yourself out of here. Go do something with your life. Don't get me started. We haven't even started the story yet and you're coming at me. Alright. Let me see. This is gonna be pop, pop, pop. I really want to push this video up, so maybe I'll do that. See, this is how I actually edit. It usually takes time to do these things. But I had to jump on the live too. So, yep. Okay. That's it. That's it. Let's save that and the story begins. And of course it's gonna have this. None of the above. Okay, I'll just do this because I don't have time. I really wanted to work on that specifically before I started. Okay, let's get started. Where did we stop off yesterday? We stopped when the wedding was finally done. Oh my God, you don't understand. I mean, you do not understand what it takes to like do a wedding. It's very stressful, mostly when you don't have money, but you want to actually, you know, give me a second. To purify your marriage, I'll say. Okay. Trust me, I don't, because I know they lack brains. My day was good. Good morning, David. It's night here. And we are actually going to have a late night live stretch for membership. I don't even know what you mean. All right. Let me see. Free no copyright music. Free sound. No, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. Okay, let's just go with wherever I get. Okay, we did this yesterday. I'm gonna leave it on that. Yesterday y'all made me emotional, and I feel like the steps where we're going are actually going to send us to the emotional part. So if you're not really like ready to be emotional with me and you're gonna laugh at me, that's gonna be so rude of you. But let's get started. So where we stopped off yesterday was when the wedding was complete and the bride and groom went back to their small house. My mama reminded me it was a small room, and they had, so they covered themselves with this one iron like bed sheet, and it reached a time and it tore completely. So my dad could cover my mom with his coat in the night. Says, I don't feel coldness, but honestly he was just sacrificing. And us, we were little, my mama could cover us with dresses, the dresses we wear. You sleep, and then she could remove her dresses that she had some, and then cover us sometimes, like most in that period that was like so rough before we actually started getting there. So look, okay, let's move forward, because I'm about to throw hands to these people in the comments, because some of them I don't even know why we're here. So they go back to their house that night. We sleep over our auntie's house, and I am taking you back now. Like, how did my mom actually get saved? She wasn't. She was a Pentecost kind of person. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, Pentecostal is kind of close to Christianity, but it's mostly not like born again completely. And I always tell you guys, being born again is actually different from religion. It's not. I always say that sometimes, mostly it's not a religion, it's a belief, like you choose. A religion can be like a family. Your grandmother was a Catholic, your grandfather was a Catholic, so all of you guys are moving in that, you know, because you're following your parents' footsteps, or family, whatever, like background. But being born again is actually separate, because it is this. You choose yourself to follow your own. That's why you speak with your mouth and believe in your heart. So you are not following anything. You are actually following only one person. That's Jesus. Like, you are making one person decision, and that's why it's called born again. Because time when we used to preach the gospel, we go to evangelists when we were young with our parents. We could go to these like ghettos, and these people who are drunk could ask questions. They could be like, how do you expect me to go back to my mother's womb and be born again? Like, are you not, like, are you crazy? What are you talking about? And my mom could explain and tell them, actually, it doesn't mean you go back into your mother's womb, because that cannot happen. But it actually means to start a new relationship with God, a personal relationship, where you're not following your mom's religion, where you're not following your dad's religion. It's a personal journey. And that you do on your own. And that's like the difference. That is what it's called, like being born again. Different. Being born in a new like covenant. Mostly it's a new covenant, coming from the covenant of Adam and Eve, the sin, and then entering the new covenant of Jesus Christ, the blood of the Lamb. So that is the difference. So how does my mom actually get saved? Before the wedding happens, you're like, okay, she's saved, she prayed for the, you know, the stepmom and all that. How does she get to know him? This is how she told me. She had me on her back, and I was very little, so I even had it wrong at first. And these people came preaching the gospel to them, and there was this specific pastor who was preaching the gospel around, you know, moving around communities to preach the gospel. And she was like sweeping the compound, and our compounds are full of dust. I've not seen that here. Lucky you guys. Where I grew from, it's a lot of dust. So when she kept sweeping the dust towards the pastor, because she did not believe in him. She wanted him to leave, and he's preaching to them. So she could sweep the dust close to him so that he leaves, but he could not leave. He could continue preaching. and my mom could get so pissed and just leave. So one time, actually, he asks my mom and my dad to come to a crusade. They had done a crusade and they were preaching the gospel. They were musicians, gospel singers, and they were singing, and with African singing, it's usually done like such, it's like bam bam music, and people were jumping, singing for God, praising, and they had the fire burning. So most people actually that I have had, including my mom, the story that I'm telling right now is that she went for the musicians. He invited them, and they went with my mom, and their sandals were different colors, and they went. So my papa refused to go, but my mama went. So when she went to this crusade, she was with this man who they used to be together in this Pentecostal church. And I'm going to tell you a story about those two, though, about the evangelists when they went to preach the gospel, and because they didn't know how to actually, they were not right with Christ. So that's where the problem was. So anyway, my mom comes, and then she sees these people dancing, praising and jumping and jumping. There is a way music, makes people love something. Most people come for musicians, but then they end up actually listening to the word and going with it. So she came, and then they were dancing, and she was entertained, and she stayed for a little while. And then when they called people up to give their lives to Christ, the brother mocked and spoke to my mom and said, you really need to give your life to Christ. And he was mocking because they were in the same in the same religion. So my mama walked because she was young. She walked to the stage, and she said, actually, I want to get saved. And she gets saved. So that's how she gets saved. And when she got saved, she got committed. I told you about the ushering part of it. You don't know about it, you just have to go back and read it, in the previous episodes. So anyway, she gets saved, and that's how she gets saved. And these two brothers, before they actually got saved, I didn't ask my mom much about them, but I know about this story. They went to cast out demons in a certain girl. There was a girl in the village who was actually possessed, and they came to cast out demons from the girl. But I'm telling you, the darkness, the kingdom of darkness actually exists, and people who actually do the things right, those things can actually happen to you, because demons are real, and so is the devil. So you have to be careful what you attack if you don't know what you're doing. It happened in the Bible, actually, when certain men tried to cast out demons in the name of Jesus, and the demons asked them, we know Paul, we know Jesus, who are you? And they tore their clothes. So this is the same thing that happened to these men. They went and they started chasing the demons out of this girl. They started, saying, what? Come out of her right now. We command you to come out of her right now. And this is what happened. They started feeling thirsty. They were not ready. They started feeling thirsty, and then they started giving them water. They asked for water. The house that had invited them started giving them water. They drank water. They drank glasses of water, and thirst just increased, and they were getting thirsty. They were getting drained and drained. So the demons started draining them, because they really were not saved, and they didn't know Jesus, so they did not have the power to do that. Or they did not have help with heaven, I'll say. So, and these demons in this girl, they were actually real, and they were many. I need to lower my voice. It's so loud. So they started draining them, and they asked for water. They brought jerrycans from outside to give to them to drink. And when they noticed that actually the thirst is not going away, they ran. They took off. They said, I'm sorry, we cannot do this, and they took off. And that's one of the stories that actually proves that religion Mm, mm. I'll leave that to you guys. Do not stop me. I don't have time for that. So let's continue with my mom's story. So that's how she gets saved, and that's where she came from. And so let's move forward. So in this house, where we came back from our auntie's place and we came back home and we started being with our parents, and then my mom like unfolded the gifts that they had given to her. Some were stolen by the neighbors because the house was very small. Like I told you, it was one room and it's packed with gifts, so people started stealing the gifts when mama was away and we left the door open because we were playing. And the things were stolen, most of them. She remained with some, just a few, and then we started battling, and we were still later. And then we started battling with rent. The landlord, that's the landlord that I told you, he came to remove the door from the house, and my mom kicked him, ended up kicking him in the head because she was so angry, because she's like, if you remove the door, where are the kids going to sleep? You're going to sleep in an open house. That happened. The times when parents slept in unfinished houses and all that. So he told us to leave. He was a very patient man. Honestly, he was one of the most patient people, but because my dad could really speak calmly and was a good guy, so they tried to listen. But you reach a limit and you have to leave. So they told us to leave, and then he came and then started like saying a lot of words the day we actually had to really leave. He started embarrassing us, and you know where I come from, like it's a small house, like the neighbors around you, it's like you're living in a family. So when they start harassing you, people come out, the children you play with come out and watch you, and they could like embarrass your parents. Why would you stay? I'm demanding you 3 months, you need to get out and all that. So we had to move. My dad had saved up a little money, and then we went to another house. That another house, I don't remember much about it, but we grew slowly. I remember the most of it in that place was school fees. They could chase me for school fees when kids are actually studying, and the teacher, the head of the school, could come in to ask for his fees, for her fees. She was a woman, and she said, Sharina, where are you? She could actually call my traditional name. It's called Beautiful if you translate it in English. And he could say, where are you? Go and tell your parents to bring my money. Get out. Sometimes I'll be hiding under the desk and then she calls my name. And then I walk all the way back home. Like I can, and I could wait for my mom and my dad. And that is where I also actually went to work as a maid. And the woman made me wash clothes. I told you guys about that in a certain episode. I don't remember when. The woman made me wash clothes the entire night. And the husband came out and said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you trying to kill somebody's child? And then the woman felt shame and was like, okay, get in. So we got in the house, and I slept. So in the morning, she had 2 kids. I started cleaning the house. Every time I cleaned the house, kids could come from outside playing, and they just dirt in the house, like with their feet dirty and all that. And these were like spoiled kids. They just ran into the house and they spoiled it. I cleaned it again, and they did it again. I told them, please stop dirtying the house, because I was cooking and then I'm cleaning, and then I have to go to the shop and buy things and keep for her. I got tired, but that's not the reason that I stopped working. I was patient. I cleaned, I bathed them, and then it came to the night when I was preparing food, and this man came and started asking me questions and started making me feel uncomfortable. He started asking me about, she was like, hi, how are you? I said, yeah, he's the husband of the mother of the house. And he started like saying things to me like, yo, very pretty, you know that. Man, look, yo, you need to stop playing. You need to stop playing with people's children. See somebody suffering and they're going through something, leave them alone. Stop like spoiling their luck. You know what I mean? So when he started talking to me like that, and me, I could sense immediately, and I was like, okay, So I went to the shop. I said, I'm not sleeping here tonight, because I saw the moves. I read the signals. However very young I was, I read them. They were so clear. So I did not tell the woman. From my childhood, I hated chaos. I don't like when I cause arguments or when people argue because of me. So it's crazy. This is just a character children grow with, because no one taught me that, but I didn't like it. I was just not interested. And leave my wig alone, okay? You're playing like you don't wear them, or your mamas and your sisters don't have them on their heads. Get lost. Just, and I'm not cute in it. By the way, I have much hair. If you don't know that, I just like don't have time to like do this and that. I'm a woman. I'm busy, yo. Mind what I'm saying and forget about that. So this is what happens. I go and speak to the woman. I tell the woman, you know what? I don't want to sleep over. I'll be coming and cleaning and doing the rest of the things, but then I am going to be sleeping over at our home. And she said, okay, are you coming back? She like sensed I'm leaving. She was like, are you really coming back? I said, yeah, I am going to come back. But honestly, I wasn't planning on coming back, because I was threatened with how the man approached me. And then the woman is making me wash clothes the entire night. And then the kids are dancing where I'm cleaning. And then I'm cooking. I'm like, yo, this is too much. So that night, it was night. She gave me transport. She did not pay me. I didn't care. So I ran home. And when I ran home, my mom and daddy were in the house, and they had me knocking and getting into the house. And my mom was like, Sherry, what are you doing here? She was like, I told them, Papa, I'm not going back in that house. First of all, they made me wash clothes the entire night. And then the kids are dancing. So my dad was like, they made my child wash clothes, because this woman was like a friend, because he could sell things to her and could leave his things with her to protect them. So he had, by the time he gave the daughter out, it's because he trusted these people. And that goes to you people. Stop overworking people's children. Like, I don't even know, like, have some sympathy. When a child is younger, do not like overwork them. Have sympathy on them and know that it's just a situation that is happening. Have sympathy. I'll only say that, like, be kind. But I still did not mention the man in this process until maybe right now. And I think I told my sister. So my papa said, that's okay, you have to study anyway. So I stayed home, and then I started like going to school, and then, you know, dodging the headmistress, hiding from her when she came. And then when she leaves, I could sneak in night preps, because the teachers did not know if you paid or you did not pay. So if she wasn't there, you could sneak in and study. And that's what I did. And luckily enough, I passed. And then I'm going to my high school. So we moved to this house that now I'm going to talk about. That was creepy. But before we left that house where we were in, they had also chased us out of that house. There is no house that we left in good faith, that, okay, we are tired of living in this place, let's just like move to another place. We had no choice, and we were thrown out every house. So that one too, the man came, the woman actually, and that woman could remove electricity. They could put electricity when they're around. When they're not around, they could remove the electricity, and we could not use it even if you wanted to. And you could live that life. And in that place too, people were horrible, and it was a lot. So in that house, before we left, we had to burn some trash, some of the things that were left behind. But people brought the things in to put it on us that we had burnt the house down. So when we shifted to this house that we didn't know, this was the background of this place. The house that we're about to rent and enter, it belonged to a witch doctor. And when he left, he did not live in good faith with these people. He was a witch doctor, and all like the like all the tenants, and I'm telling you, like, we were like this, like next to each other and open. And you just have a compound where kids play and do like whatever, chat and then cook. So we didn't know that there was a witch in this house, a witch doctor who was like a priest, I'll say. Yeah. So we enter the house, we pay for it, and there is this woman who is like married to the man, who is a son to the man who actually owns the things. So this man who owns the things had a wife who had taken over because the man was ill, and we didn't know that. But the man was not, he could never get out of the house during the day. He could only get out of the house at night time, and on few occasions. Like my entire life being in that place, and I think we spent there at least 3 years or something, I had never seen this man's face ever. I only saw the woman and then the in-laws and all that, and then the neighbors that we had. And there was this neighbor who was my mom's friend. They knew each other from back then when my mom was selling clothes to her. She was actually our neighbor. She was next to us, and she had 2 children, 2 girls. And then my mom also came in, and she has 2 girls, and we are grown, but they were younger. So we entered this house, and it had lots of people in it. And then for them, they lived across a tree. The tree was so big and so tall, but they lived across it, and their house was bigger because they were the owners of the property. Their house was bigger, they had water and all that. So we moved into that place, and we enter. We don't know anything about the place, but my mom had started home sales, what they call house sales, where people come and pray in your house. So but we hadn't started that in that house. And there was this man who had actually followed my mom, and he said he was preaching with us, and that's what we knew about him for that time. This is very important, like take note of it. It will, like, it's gonna come back in the future. So we enter that house. My mom is happy. We don't pray, we don't have the house sale yet. So by that time, yeah, my mom, I think, had it started. The Lord had not yet spoken to her to become a pastor. So she was still ministering at her old church. And when we entered that house, people were around, and they were lovely. Like, you know, with neighbors, same thing that happens in ghetto. Sometimes you fight with people. There are those who don't like you, or who don't like your mom for no reason. Sometimes they're jealous of, you know, maybe looks, maybe sometimes they're just like weird, just weird. Like those houses, that's how they are. So as kids, you make friends. Those kids started like making friends with us, and then, you know, we could talk to them here and there, but it wasn't so like it wasn't, so we weren't so close by then. So this is what happened when we entered this house. It took a while to actually happen. So, and in that house too, we struggled with rent, but that time mama worked hard, papa worked hard too, and they tried to pay like rent. And I had joined the school of government, so I wasn't like paying by then. So that took a little bit from them, and they just like had my sister. And I've not talked about my sister's story because I'm talking about my mom, but in the house before we came here, actually, she also struggled with the school fees, and my mom going and spending the entire night when her child is refused to do exams that are promoting her to high school, like to college. They refused. So the man made my mom stay there the entire day and close to midnight. And he felt sorry for the woman and said, you know what, let's just send your child in the exam at the last hour. So just know this girl was panicking before she entered to do her exams. Her mind had been scattered. It's like hope had already failed because she knew she wasn't going to do the exams. So, but this is what they usually do if you cannot like pay the exams, or sometimes they don't like give you your report. And I don't remember how many reports stayed at school. My reports, they could say, okay, she passed, but she's not getting the report. And luckily could make me, go to another class until my mom finishes. She could work hard. She was a hard worker. Mothers, please do not give up. It's hard. Just do not give up on your children. Just keep working hard and trusting God. So she kept working hard, like extremely hard. And then my papa too. So we started and reached. That's why we can speak, I think, what we can speak. Not everything. Some things I do not understand. Some I understand and tell you guys. So what happened is this. We start living in that house. We start struggling in that house too, here and there with fees. But this starts happening. Our neighbor could wake up. She could wake up with a swollen face, like someone who was in a fight the last night. But there was no fight. The things could come and attack her and beat her through the night. And she could wake up sewed up, and people could think it's the husband. But the husband never beat her, because you could hear struggles going through. If like people were fighting, it could be loud, it could be in the open. And I remember one time they had a fight with the husband and it was open. And my dad like saved her from getting beat up. But it was only once. So this man was so calm. Like these were things that were happening. But the problem is, when these things started happening to her, before we actually moved there, she went back to her village to get help. So what happened is that these things were more powerful, so they could beat her up crazy. So she could wake up with a swelled face, and my mom could ask her sometimes, what happened? What, like, does your husband beat you in the night? She's like, no, there is this thing that usually comes every single night and it falls on the iron sheet. It's like you could feel it fall on the sheets. And when it falls on the sheets, I don't know what happens, like things start strangling me and all that. And my mom says, what? She says, this is not supposed to happen. She said, like, you know what? I'm going to like open a home sale in my house, because I was already planning on that, but I just wanted us to first settle in. So they settled. She's promised to start a home sale. So she started a home sale. And some of the neighbors that were actually saved could come sometimes and gather and pray, and even like from outside, like people who knew my mom, and could come to home sales. And home sales are very important. They actually, most people find healing in home sales. I've witnessed people who have witnessed healing. Like my mom prayed for this woman who was barren and had completely failed to give birth, but she found her deliverance in home sale. And this is what happened. She came to someone told her, but you know what? Come, I have a pastor in my home cell. She'll pray for you. Like when she prays for you, your life is not going to remain the same. So she came in hopes of finding a huge pastor who is a man. People despise women. I don't know why. Why do you underlook women? And mostly if they are small. You know, do not do that. I'm telling you right now, you do not know who has your miracle or blessing. It can even come from a young child like this. As long as you trust God in that person, your miracle is going to happen. But the problem is that people despise when they say something. Like if someone says a word to you and you undermine it, or I always say that the anointing that you degrade does not work for you. The anointing that you look down onto, it will never work for you. You have to respect the anointing to work for you. And that's on period. Unless if God wants to actually show you that my person that you look down onto, I've actually anointed that person. That can be the difference. But mostly, if you get a miracle, you need to first respect the anointing on someone who's actually praying for you. If you do not respect them, do not even waste your time to ask them to pray for you. That is not going to happen at all. So respect your pastors and the people who pray for you, even if they're poor, even if you're richer than them. Just do that. Oh my God. Ray Franklin, what are you talking about? Get lost. I thought you had some sense in you, and it looks like you actually have none. So I'm sorry, y'all. Look, do not come at me because I'm gonna like pop you immediately. So the people who actually, I don't know, let's continue. So this woman comes to this house sale and she finds a woman who is actually small because my mom was small by then. She looked at my mom and for her she was bigger and taller. And that's how we usually look at people, at people like God's people. If they are not our height or size, you look like you cannot help me. And that also goes out to the world. Do not disrespect someone because of how they look. You don't know who can actually help you. You don't know who God is using, and it's usually the people you look down onto that God uses to humble you, because God hates people who are pride. The number one reason why Lucifer was falling from the sky and was falling down like a lightning, it's because he was pride. He thought he was above God, but he wasn't. Pride comes before a fall. You fall when you're proud. So that is why most people do not get miracles, because you're proud. The moment you do not humble yourself, it is not going to work out. It starts with being humble. It starts with letting go and surrendering. That's when it starts working. Keep being proud and see how you fall lower and lower. And I have seen that. I have seen that with the people I live with. I've seen that with my family. Some have learned from it, some have not, and they're still falling down. They're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And these words have passed them, like how they pass other people. The thing is, in the world, when words are spoken, the people who listen and actually take the word, and it actually works for them. The people who listen comes in this ear and it gets out from the other ear. It doesn't work for them. And those people Jesus spoke about in the Bible, and gave them like thorns, the seeds that fell in thorns, the seeds that fell on the good land, the seeds that fell. You could go back in the Bible and read that yourself. We are just talking about Mommy Sherry's story here. So she prays, this woman undermines my mom, and she says to her friend, that woman is not going to pray for me. She's so small. I'm leaving. But this woman is barren. She does not conceive. And the husband was planning to kick her out. So it had reached to that extent of losing her marriage that she spoke with a friend and she needed help. So the friend, who is a good person, recommended her to a good pastor. But because of pride, she said, she cannot pray for me. She's so small and she's, I don't think she has the anointing. So she undermined my mom and she left. And my mom asked the friend later, what happened to your friend? Why did she leave? And her friend said, you know what, Pastor? She disrespected you. She said that you cannot pray for her. My mom said, it's okay. It's fine. You know what? I'll go and speak to her. And that is how some people are humble. That's how much some people are humble. Because someone who's not humble, they know their anointing. They be like, whatever. So pastors, you need to stop saying whatever. And you people of God, if you see someone is holding back, it's not them. There is a power that's actually trying to hold their breakthrough. So it comes, and that power is the devil, pride. Each time you see someone who's proud, just know the spirit that's living in them. It's Lucifer. He can never bow down. So, and that spirit can actually limit your blessings 100%. So, my mom decided to go to her place. That night, my mom makes an arrangement with this woman. Of course, she comes back home and then she goes tomorrow morning to her. And she says, why did you disrespect me? And she said, you know what, Pastor? She was truthful. She said, you know what, Pastor? I feel like you're too small. There is no anointing for me from you. Like, you cannot pray for me. I have this big issue and I don't think you can actually pray for me. But the thing is, that person is not the person giving you the blessing. The person inside that person, who's Jesus Christ, the worker of miracle, the miracle worker, the God of the universe, is the person living in that person that you're looking down onto. And because you're not seeing that, that is why you look at them the way they are. The moment you stop looking at people the way they are and see what's actually inside them, you'll actually see a difference in your life. So this woman was blinded by the weight of my mom. She didn't know who my mom had with her. So my mom said to her, you know what? What is your problem? Just tell me. We are just going to pray. We are just going to pray. And the God in me is actually going to show you something today. And she says, okay. You know these women who are like, whatever. She said, okay. And she said, okay, you know what? I'm losing my marriage. My husband is kicking me out because I cannot deliver. I am barren. My mom says, oh, that's the problem? She says, yes. She said, okay. Do you believe that God can actually give you a child? She says, I don't know. Then my mom read to her about Rebecca in the Bible. And she says, okay, Sarah. No, it was Sarah. She read about Sarah. Oh, Rebecca, like the woman who cried out to God and she was murmuring words that were not heard. But so the priest thought that she was drunk, but she wasn't actually drunk. So that is what my mom told to this woman. And this woman caught the word and she like had some faith in this woman because of the word. So my mom laid hands on her. She prayed for her. It wasn't a long prayer. It was a very short prayer. And she left that woman's place. I am telling you, after 2 weeks, 2 weeks passed and there was nothing. We were in the home cell and this woman came to the home cell herself. She did not come with her friend. She came herself to the home cell. We were there praying and worshiping and this woman gets into the home cell. And I was younger then. I don't even remember this woman, but I remember the story very well. So she enters and she prays and like the sermon goes on and it got done. And then in the evening, when they were leaving, she stayed back and she went to the pastor and she fell down on her knees and she started crying. She could not speak. She was just crying and she said, I am so sorry that I disrespected you. You know what? She came with proof of her pregnancy. She had the papers that proved she had gotten pregnant. But they had told her that she cannot give birth. She had tried herbs, she had tried doctors and nothing. Like it had completely failed. So she actually believed in God. She got saved and my mom took her to the church where she was a minister. And that was the miracle that happened actually in home cells. I was just giving you a little bit of that. So like, do not give up on prayer and find houses where you could pray if you really have something that is like bothering you. So coming back to this house that was haunted. How are we feeling in the comments? Oh my god, that's so spicy. I don't even know what's spicy in that tea, but it's so spicy. So, this is what happens. My mom talks to the woman and says, why, like, so no one is hitting you? No. So the home cell started. People started coming in the home cell and praying with us and then they leave. And then it started manifesting in the house. I had a friend whose dad was a drunk person, but he paid her child's school fees, but he failed to pay rent in the city. He was making money, he could pay. I remember my friend was on chest for school fees when they started paying in a government school. They started asking for fees and she used to pay a bit earlier than me, and sometimes I could not even like have that money. It could usually come late and she could study instead. But the dad had a bondage. I think whatever was behind him did not want him in the city. So he refused to actually rent a house. So this girl was suffering from place to place, and I told you, like, our house raised so many children, like a help house. Of course not everybody, but most of the people. So this girl came and I asked my mom for her to stay in our house, and she was my best friend. She stayed with us in that house for a while. So my sister had left to go and stay with my auntie because she wanted to watch, movies and all that, and we could not do that here. So I was alone with her, and she could come, of course, and visit and go back. So these are the things that I saw in this house. My mom, she says that she was sleeping, and then Papa woke up and left. I told you the story of my dad. He could wake up in the night to go and like get clothes to come and sell around. So he could wake up at like 3 a.m. and then leave like at 3:30, close to 4, and he goes to town. And I was the person who opened a door for my dad every single night. My dad could wake me up because I was the one who could actually wake up and close the door and lock it, and he could believe that it's locked. So my dad wakes up and he leaves. When my dad wakes up and leaves, there is something that stayed, or there is something that actually moved in. After my dad leaves, my mom thinks my dad has left because she had my dad, of course, like you could hear him go. But then she felt a presence in her bed. So she said, Valley, did you go? And then when she turned to speak to Valley, my dad, he had left. She felt a feeling of somebody in her bed. When she turned and there was nobody, she said, hell no! She started casting demons out and out and out. And then she saw a long shadow, like a very long shadow of a human being. But this thing was so tall and unending. Like tall and unending. So the devil was trying, I think, to send a spirit of fear in her so that she can't pray. This woman had known who God was. Like she had given herself up to God. She started praying and condemning the spirit out, because this witch doctor, before he left the house, he told them, no one, and I mean no one, will ever rent this house. And it had stayed there for a while before we moved in. And when I used to, so let's finish with my mom. So my mom prays and breaks the spirits, prays and breaks the spirit, and this shadow disappears and it leaves. She doesn't tell us because she doesn't want to scare us. We don't even have a choice. Where are we going? So she just prayed her prayer and she let go because it's left. When Papa came back, she told Papa the story, and this is when Papa had gotten saved, and he had become a minister too. He had started like serving. He started like being a musician, and I'll talk about my dad's story a little bit later. So my mama told my dad the story. My dad said, "You're kidding. There is no way." She said that happened. So they prayed, and Papa went to work. He said, "Do not be afraid. Maybe you were dreaming." But she wasn't dreaming. She was like, I was not dreaming. I woke up and I saw the thing myself. But Papa had also seen something behind. We had a tree behind us, and that same area, it was like bonded, because below that area was a well, and that well, I have friends I was going to school with, and they say that at night they could actually see something. So that well was like possessed to, like children who bathe at night. Like you refuse to bathe and they send you out to bathe at night because like you have to shower. One of our friends said that he refused to shower, and he was telling us a story to school, and it was real, because how I prove it was real, when I moved in the neighborhood where they lived. When I was at school, I thought he was making jokes. He said he refused to shower that day, and when he was going to bed, the mom called him and he said, "Did you shower?" And he said, I did. And then the mom opened the legs, and you know, men, they go and play football, and all his legs were dirty, full of dust. The mom kicked him out to shower in the open, because for us, we don't have inside bathrooms where I come from. There are places now, okay, homes, like, but that's for rich people. When you have some money, then you move in a house that has like a bathroom in the house, but the bathrooms are outside. So he goes with the water outside to actually shower, but it was late and they're close to the well. So as he was like putting um soap on the sponge and putting it on his body, he says he felt shivers going through her back, through his back. And when he looked back, there was a woman standing looking straight at him. And this woman was extremely weird. So he just caught a basin and he just like poured the water on it. He did not shower. He just caught the basin and just like poured the water and quickly ran in the house and banged the door behind him. And he was telling us that story in the morning, and no one believed him until we moved in the neighborhood, and I actually believed. And then people told us the background of that story, and that's when we were like, whoa, okay, now this makes sense. So my mom, they talk about it, and my papa had seen actually a long woman standing on the window, because in their bedroom was a window, and when you looked outside it was a road going away, and there was a Pentecostal church, and then there was a huge tree behind us, and my dad had seen that. But remember, this woman had that thing that could come and go on the ceiling every day, and they could hear it like come and boom, and you could tell that something has landed on the ceiling. And she didn't know how to pray a lot. She dealt with in witch, so she went to ask help from the devil, and the devil does not chase the devil. If anything, they work together. So she could get brutally like injured through the night, every single night. So they started praying in the house. So my mama added the altar, like they added fire in the altar, because she now realized that there is actually something that is happening in this place. So when we were playing with our friends, because I heard when mama was speaking, I asked this girl, she was called, I'm seeing her face, but I don't remember the name. The name has gone out. I asked her and I said, have you ever seen anything weird in this place? Because, children are curious. I asked, have you ever seen anything weird happen in this place? And she says, yeah, I've seen some things like appear in my room. And we started laughing. Because we thought she was just making jokes. She was like, I'm actually not lying, but I could just like pull a blanket on my head, but I could see some things standing, like they could just stand there. We laughed. She said, I'm actually not joking. So when she said she wasn't joking, there was some fear. And I had this best friend, she was like so stubborn. She was like so loud and so stubborn. So we laughed, she laughed and touched me like that. She was like, Sharada, you believe that? You're so dumb. I've never seen someone dumb like you. So I was like, she said she's not joking. Sharon was like, okay, let me tell you something. So she told me a story of their place, that they had this well where like it had a time period that you could go to. If you passed that time period, you could actually face a demon there. And she told me a story of that. So we talked about it, and like we were scared. I was like, oh, let's stop, let's not talk about it. We stopped and we went in the house. When we went in the house, we were laying down, sleeping. No, what happened before us having that dream actually? So I'm moving forward. I'm cutting the story, some of the stories, because it's like a long story and I don't want this entire show to be about my life. So that woman that I told you with the kids had 2 kids that night. That thing comes again. When it came that time, it broke the ceiling. Its force was a lot that it broke the ceiling. When it broke the ceiling fell where the kids were sleeping. But this is how God saved the children. My mom had prayed with the woman before. So she had brought the children to pee. In the night they could wake up to ask their mama to pee. So the very time that she woke up these kids to pee, they woke up to pee. She was taking them to pee aside in a bucket. They had come out where they sleep, and that's exactly where that thing fell. Like it came with a lot of force and it landed where the children were sleeping. But the good thing, they were up going to pee. The mom was scared, so the kids started shouting in the night, and we actually had some noise, but we weren't sure. We thought they were children. They were just like screaming, but that wasn't like anything. So they were screaming at their mom, saying, "Mom, let's go back to where we were. These things were not there where we were. Let's go back. We cannot be here. Let's go." So they were screaming that they cannot like stay in this place because it's scary. In the morning, Mama was like, "We had the baby screaming. What happened?" And then the mom was like, "That thing came, but as soon as I had brought the kids to pee, that thing landed again, but this time it broke the ceiling." And she took my mom inside to see the ceiling, and the ceiling had actually broken. The ceiling had actually broken. Isn't that crazy? Witchcraft is real, you guys, and demons are actually there, and the only way you're actually going to survive things like that is when you have a hand of prayer. And then people have not experienced that, like lucky you are, but it doesn't mean that you are safe from them. Okay, they can come in different ways. You know, they can come in a certain behavior where you cannot let go of like drugs, of like drinking, of like things like that. That could actually kill your life too. So after that, my mom prays with her and she says, "You know what, you need to calm down." Actually, that night she was so scared, she packed to go to her village with the children. They packed that day and they left her husband with another woman. Like it was, their life was like crazy. That I even have like dreams about that woman and the children. I think God is just reminding me to pray for them, and I try to do, but I don't know really if they have ever done something, because I always have a dream of us when they're in a certain place and there is a certain corridor with them. I don't like, let's even not go there. So my mom prayed for them. So we went to school with my friend. She was called Sharon. We went to school with her and studied, and then we came back that night. Like I told you, my friend was so loud. Like she's so loud. She's so loud and crazy. So we come back, we eat food, we go to bed like how we usually do. When we were sleeping, this is what happened. I think the spirits noticed that these people are actually bringing something, because whatever it was, it got like, I think it was fighting with the angel of God protecting these children through the prayer that they prayed for them, and that's why it landed like on the baby's thing. So when we were sleeping, my friend is so loud. Every time she woke up in the night, like she was the first to wake up, and she could wake me up. "Sherry, come on, time has gone for school." And she could wake me up like that, and I could wake up, and then we run in the shower, and then we come and dress up and then we start walking 5 kilometers to school, like 3 to 4 kilometers, I think. But we were all poor, so we were all helping each other. But she just loved me. She loved me when we were in primary, because we studied together primary. But in primary, I had another best friend who liked me, that we were in church together. But this girl comes in primary, and she actually likes me, and she hates this girl because this girl was a certain way, and she saw that, and she hated me for that. She was like, "Why would you allow her?" She started competing with the girl, but of course she really wanted me to be her best friend. And it happened when we were in high school. So when we were sleeping deep in the night, it was actually, I remember it was like 3 a.m. in the night, and this is what happened. I was sleeping peacefully. I didn't do anything, but this is what demons do. If you pray for yourself, they're going to attack your children if you do not like cover them in the blood of Jesus. When you pray for other people outside, whatever is attacking them can come back to your family. And this is what I'm telling you. I'm going to give you a story, a really brief story about that, so that you understand what I'm talking about. When we were in school, we had a religious teacher who was teaching us religious education. And he was a pastor too, and he gives us a story of what had happened. He comes and tells us, you know what, you guys? Something really happened, and it opened my eyes. And we said, what happened? He said, there is this pastor who's a big pastor where I teach. And he has a wife. And he says, we went to pray for this girl. This is what happened. This girl, like Africans do these things where they go to the mortuary to clean the mortuary of like their ancestors or the people who died. So they go and clean around, like people who like don't know God. I don't really know how much like people do that, but usually for them it's an ancestral things, like some cultures. So they go. So in their family of this girl, the parents tell them, do not touch anything you find on the ground or on the grave. Do not touch anything at all. They say, okay. They went and started cleaning the graves and whatever they were doing. And this is what happened. The girl sees something on the grave. Sorry. And it was witchcraft. Someone had put something on the graves. And she did not ask. She did not call for help. She forgot that they actually told them to not touch anything they find that is weird. They should just like clean the graves, but they shouldn't touch anything that's weird. So because you know how girls are, and like when you're in your grown age, like you're a teenager, you're very stubborn, you like don't want to be told. So she didn't call anyone. She just caught whatever was on the ground and she threw it away. She caught the whatever what is it called when people like do witchcraft? The altar. So they had done things and had left things there. So she caught the things and she threw them away, and she continued to clean. Nothing happened that day. When they went back home to Kampala, the thing started strangling this young girl. When the thing started strangling the girl, the people don't know what to do. They call their spirits, and their spirits do not come to help them. So the neighbors say, we have a pastor. They call this pastor and our teacher. They go to the grave. They go to this family to pray for the child because she's being strangled and possessed. When they went and started praying and praying and praying and praying for the girl, praying for the girl, praying for the girl, they asked them what happened. The girl explained. When like they prayed and the demons left, and then the girl explained. She said, I touched things and I shouldn't have touched them. And I think there was a spirit still speaking in her. And the pastor knew, so they continued praying for the young girl. When they continued praying for the young girl, this is what happened. The spirits knew the weakness of the pastor. Everyone has a weakness, and that's why they say, you guys, you should pray for your weaknesses. You should protect your weaknesses before you actually start attacking the enemy. Because what the enemy does, he uses your weakness to distract you. So this is what happened. As they were praying and praying for the girl, the spirit spoke through the girl, and it said, it laughed, it started laughing, and it said, haha, you're here trying to chase me. Do you know your wife? And the spirit says the wife's name. Because they see it and they're in the spiritual world, it doesn't mean it's true. Or it might be true, but it doesn't mean that you get out of focus, mostly in prayer. So our teacher was giving us an example of like, you don't want to be distracted when you're praying for yourself or praying for someone. The enemy will use anything that can distract you. So the demon says, your wife is sleeping with your assistant, like the assistant pastor. So the demon started laughing. You're here chasing me, and your wife is fucking, if you would with your pastor, and like they are having fun. Yes, you know what your wife is doing, she's moaning loud. Like the demon went crazy and crazy talking this. So the pastor, instead of praying, our teacher says, he gets distracted, he gets angry, and he goes to go and call the wife. When he calls the wife does not pick up his phone. I mean her phone, like, but his call. The wife does not pick up. So the pastor stops praying for the girl. And our teacher says, he told the pastor, we cannot leave. We cannot leave in this period. Please, let's just pray for the girl. It's just a distraction. The pastor said, no, I knew it. I sensed it. They're not lying. He said, okay, let's pray for the girl and you'll confront them later. He said, no, I'm leaving like right now. So the pastor gave the spirits gap to come in. And what you do, when they come in this time, they come in with force because there is no protection. The pastor rushes and leaves the poor girl and gets into his car and they drive off to his house. And what's funny is that the pastor found actually his wife with his assistant in bed. So it really happened. But my teacher says that this is what hurt him the most. What hurt him the most is that the moment they left, this is what these people say, the demons came in full force and they told the girl and they killed the young girl. The child was killed. So when the pastor finished his fighting, he came back to pray. It was too late. The child's life was taken. And that's the distraction I'm talking about. Like, if you pray, before you go to pray for someone, you need to cover your whole house in the blood of Jesus. You have to cover your children. You have to cover your partners. Because if a demon failed on a certain thing, it will bring something else that is going to distract you. So, because my mom had prayed so much for these people, and that's why I pray for your pastors. Like the pastors' homes, why are the pastors' children the most attacked? You find a big pastor, but like their children are going through depression, they're suffering with drugs, they're doing like lots of, because pastors pray for so many people, like they dedicate their lives for people, and sometimes they neglect their families, or it's like they forget them. Oh, they think actually their families are protected already. But no, the children do their own things. A pastor might be there praying for someone when the child is out like having sex with somebody. That door is open, mostly if they're not married. So they might be doing drugs, they might be stealing, anything. So that door is open. So what happens if you do not close that door is that is where the enemy passes. So Mama prayed for all the people, and because pastors get tired and overwhelmed for praying, sometimes their families are a target. So we are sleeping with my best friend on the the small mattress. They had bought us a mattress by then, and I start feeling something poking my feet. It was like this, like that. Something kept poking my feet, and I thought it was my best friend Sharon. So I knew my best friend was like crazy. We could play a lot, like all the time, play and like wrestle and like fight each other and like do things like that. You know how kids play. We were not kids, we were in high school, but we could play with each other all the time. We were just new high schoolers, 16, like there. So we were playing a lot. So because she was very stubborn, I thought that she was poking me, and I didn't think she was poking me with her fingers because I thought she was using her feet to actually poke me because it was my feet. So I started looking around and I said, no, I didn't look around immediately. I said, Sharon, stop. Sharon, stop. I said, Sharon, can you stop? So when I woke up and told her, can you stop, and like turned around, she was in deep sleep. Sharon was sleeping. And there was no light inside, but there was light outside our house. So our houses like always have lights outside in case like thieves come around. People scream and they run, and sometimes they're scared because there are lights outside. But in the house there was no light. The light was switched off, but the light outside could actually provide light inside. So, and our mom was in the bedroom. So this time we had two rooms, a two-roomed house where like a living room, and where we were sleeping in the living room, and our parents were living in the bedroom. So the thing continues to poke me. So when I turn around, I see Sharon in deep sleep. I say, so in my mind, when I looked at Sharon who was in deep sleep, I had a voice tell me, turn around. So I turned around because the thing was still poking me. I turned around. When I turned around, I saw a snake. For the first time in my life, I saw a real snake. And it was not a snake where we lived. Maybe there was snakes somewhere. I had people beat snakes like wherever, but I had never seen a snake in my life. I see a snake, and it was like a cobra, but it had a silver kind of thing going through. I remember it very well, like a silver thing going like in the middle where it was like this, and then there was a silver thing going through. I will never forget it. And it was poking me with its mouth, like it kept doing like that, but it was a blanket on me. A blanket served me, and I think the angels of God were there to protect the house. But when I saw it, and in my life, I am scared of snakes. I saw a snake a second time, and the way I ran, you guys, I ran and my feet were touching my butt. That's how quick I was running to get away. And we were just the two of us in the road. So I was screaming and running while the legs are like so quick. I'm so scared of snakes. So I turned around, and I know Sharon, she never woke up slow in her life ever. She could wake up and like push the bed sheets like that and kicks me and all that. But this time when I turned around, I told Sharon, I was like, Sharon, I'm even scared to yell because there is a snake in the house. So I'm thinking when I yell, it is going to attack me. So I started calling Sharon. I was like, Sharon, Sharon, Sharon. And she was like, that's what she said. She was like, I said, wake up slowly. That's what seriously, God save me. I was that, like, I was like, wake up slowly. And she said, what? Like, she always like wakes up like crazy, but this time she was slow. She was like, what? And then she woke up. I was like, shh. I said, look there. I didn't even tell her there is a snake. I was like, look there. What do you see? Because I was not sure of what I was seeing. I told Sharon, look there. What do you see? What do you see? Slowly, so that it doesn't hear me. But the snake is still there and it's still poking me. I'm telling you, I have not moved a muscle. Where I was sitting, I was still stiff. And that's how I was talking, like in one position. That's how scared I was. And when Sharon turned to where I was pointing to, she started screaming. She started screaming, and she was like, a snake, there is a snake, a snake. She started yelling, there is a snake, a snake. So when she started yelling, I think the enemy wanted to act fast. We saw the snake. I and her, she's my witness, but I don't have her here. And we've broken contact, but God is my witness. I saw this with my own eyes. Sharon started screaming. When Sharon started screaming, I got up real quick from where I was. And the snake came out, and it was like that. It was in air. a year. It wasn't down anymore. It was ready to sting. And it was a cobra. I remember it very well, but with a silver lining in it. When it rose and it started coming to where I was. When it started coming to where I was, I started screaming my dad's name. I was like, Papa, Papa. I started screaming, Papa. And you know what's happening? It's like time was in a slow motion because these people had our screams. So I told Sharon, shh, shh, because the snake was coming my direction. Sharon could not stop. When Sharon couldn't stop because she was screaming, the snake turned and it started going to Sharon's direction. Now, because there was a chair where I was sitting, it was like a long chair that connected to my dad's room. I got up slowly on the chair, like I'm in slow motion, and started running to go to the door. So when the snake started aiming at Sharon, and it was coming in slow motion, it wasn't fast. It was taking its time. I think it knew that it was under control. So it started coming to where Sharon was, and I was seeing it. So I was not screaming because I didn't want it to come back to my direction. But Sharon was screaming, so it was going to her direction. And because of a lot of fear, I think something spoke in Sharon. Sharon, instead of screaming the way she was screaming that a snake, she started saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. She started calling Jesus like crazy. When Sharon started calling Jesus, the snake turned and it started coming back towards me. But the good thing is that I was close to the door now. I started banging down, like I was breaking down the bedroom door. I banged the door and said, Papa, there is a snake, Papa. So my dad just like got up real quick and just like banged the door open to because he was like so quick each time we yelled or say it. Like I told you guys, like if you wanted to get my dad's attention, touch the child or touch the wife, you're going to get whooped. That's on period. So I banged the door and said, Papa, a snake. So Papa arose and banged the door. So when he banged the door and he came in, he switched on the light, because someone who has not seen the snake doesn't know which direction it is. So he just goes and switches. So my Papa ran so fast and switches on the light. When my Papa switched on the light, mates, the snake was gone. We don't have a hole in our house. We don't have a hiding place. A place is open. We don't have things in the house that something could hide. A snake could not run that fast. It could not hide in the house. When Papa opened the door, he came with Mama. Mama was behind her. He was like, what is it? I was shaking. Sharon was shaking. So these are two kids who are not having illusions. These were two children who are not having a vision. They had seen something. I was shaking and sweating, and Sharon was shaking too. Our hearts were beating out of our chest. And we were fumbled. Our dad was like, where is it? Where is it? They started looking. And we said, it's gone. It's gone. That's what we said. We didn't know what to say. We were out of words. Mama was like, what did you guys watch yesterday? We were like, we don't watch movies. Mom, I told Mama, do you trust me? Have I ever lied to you? And she said, no. I said, I saw a snake. I just saw a huge snake. But they tried to make us not afraid because we have nowhere to go. So they said, you are dreaming. Start showering and go to school. That's what they told us. They were like, stop acting. You two, what the hell is wrong with you? You've been playing so much. I said, Papa, we saw a snake. And Sharon said, Papa, we saw a snake. Go in the shower and go to school. But they knew. They knew because they had seen things. So when they went in the bedroom, they were silent for a while because they knew we had just got attacked by a snake. And it was a demon that had come in a snake. And it had come to kill. But I'm thinking that we had angels around us, that it was that slow. So we removed our blankets and our small mattress that is broken, packed it and put. That night, I told Sharon, I don't know where you're going to go. I am not sleeping here. I am following my sister to my auntie's place. Though they didn't like us there, like we didn't have a great time, we had to come back with my sister at the end of the day. But I told Sharon, I can't. She said, I'm not sleeping here either. So she went and spoke to her aunt. I went with her, and her aunt actually accepted to have her over. So we both left. I was terrified. I went and told my sister when she came back from school. I was like, Rena, I saw a snake. We saw a snake with Sharon. We yelled, and Papa did not. They said that we didn't see. We saw it with our own eyes. I narrated the story the way I just told you guys, and I still remember it like it's vivid. And Rena says, yeah, there are things that happen in this place. Like people say actually like these houses, like there was a witch doctor here and all that. So I don't know if Rena knew much about it, but she just said, really? She didn't know much about it. But she knew. I went with her with all that fear, and there was this thing that was going around that people were dying from a number. They say that a number appeared on your body, and each time it appeared on your body you die. So people were getting these random numbers in the around Kampala. I don't know if you can like Google that and get it, but that time there is that thing that had risen and started actually scaring us, that someone had died, like they had a number. You just wake up with a random number on your body and people died. I don't know if it was the truth. I didn't see anyone who died from that number, but people said it, and it actually scared us. So we were living over our auntie's place, and I was scared coming back to that place because of the snake, and then because of that number that is going around, that goes on people's bodies and they die. You wake up with a number you don't know and you actually die. So in that place we lived, my parents stayed. We continued praying and praying and praying and praying. We continued having house sales until we failed with rent, and the woman was like yelling. She was embarrassing us as usual, but we were used to this. We suffered a lot, but I thank God that we went through we saw through it. We went through it all the time. So I think time reached and we were to leave that place. And I only saw that dude only once in my life, and that dude looked weird, like the owner of the place. And he never came out during the day. They only brought him up at night. And I remember that girl, I don't know why I can't remember her name, she was saying the same thing. I saw the boss of this place, but he looks weird. So we said, okay. So when they chased us from that place, because we had failed to pay some of the rent, the little we had collected, we shifted. But this is what happened. A few months after we left that place, that tree, they had said they should never cut down that tree. That tree had stayed there for years. They had tried to cut it down one time and it failed. Like they brought a big car to cut it down, but it failed. They couldn't actually cut it down. So the man died. He reached a time and he died. When he died, they put a hair for the things for this man. The hair died the first time they announced him as a hair. He died. And why did he die? Because when this man died, they cut down the tree, and they actually succeeded in cutting down the tree after that man died. So when they cut down that tree, that's why the hair died. Instantly. He wasn't sick, but he just died. And then the other one who followed also died. So what they did is this. They didn't put a hair for the things. Children just took anything. Everyone, they were like, what are you taking? The other one says, I'm going to take the house at the last. I'm going to take the 2 houses here. That is how they separated those things. But 2 hairs died and followed their dad immediately after they cut down that tree. So that proves to me that that place actually had things that were happening, and it wasn't a normal area. But we survived that place, and then we rented a little bit below it, like we rented another house that was close to that place, and that's where I'll start from tomorrow. That's where I'll start from. The story of that house, it also has its stories. Oh, I've forgotten this. So in that house, before we left, this is what happened to my, like, and my mom's youngest sister that I told you about. When I told you that this lady was had a niece, and this niece walked in her footsteps, because after she died, she decided to do what the mom was doing. So our aunt, after our mom prays for her and actually God delivers her, it took years for her to get delivered from the witchcraft that woman actually did. And how they did it, when they were praying for my aunt, like after years, the thing spoke in her, and it said they sacrificed things here, so you have to sacrifice a white goat and things like that. It gave orders, and the pastor said, we are sacrificing nothing. The blood of Jesus is enough to cast you out. Get out. So they prayed for her, and she got delivered. But before she got delivered, she was taken to a false prophecy church. And there is this false prophet who actually prayed. You guys be careful. When you see people who are mad and they pray not in the right way and they do things that are weird, like, run for your life, because they can actually damage you. So this man prayed and started hitting the Bible in my auntie's head. And my aunt got issues in that, and she started like getting sick and getting mental issues. And then we were in a mental hospital for a while. My mama prayed a lot and she got better. And my mom was so mad for the sister who took this poor little sister to that place. I mean, she was grown now. She died, I think, at 20 years old. She was still so young, and we were still young. And she was my favorite aunt. She was so nice and kind. But when they prayed, God healed her of witchcraft that had happened in her life, almost from her teenage life to her 20 years old, at least from like 12 years old. So God finally delivered her. Sometimes deliverance takes a long time for some reasons, but sometimes healing comes immediately. So if you don't experience healing immediately, it takes time. Continue praying and trusting God, and actually trusting God and not moving around. The more you move around, you're going to find false people, and they're going to add bondage in your life instead of deliverance. And I am just saying, because I've seen that happen. After my aunt gets delivered, she goes back. She used to live with my grandma in the village. So she goes back to the village and she's doing well. So the party of the step brother happens. And one of my aunties goes to the village, and she was pregnant. She was about to give birth, but she went to the village because she loves parties. One of our aunties that I told you that was in the city with my mom, who loved parties a lot. Yeah. So she told my little auntie, she was so forgiving. And I am telling you right now, you guys, forgiving someone does not mean that you should go to them. When God stops you from meeting people, He has a reason. If someone is entitled to endanger your life, you forgive them, but you stay away from them. Because when we forgive, it doesn't mean we should be stupid or we should be dumb. You need to protect yourself. If someone fails to kill you spiritually, they can actually kill you physically. So in that way, why I'm bringing this is for us to be careful and learn that you have to be careful with your life. If you notice a lot of jealousy, if someone tells you they are going to kill you, nothing can change that person unless if they're saved. If someone gives you a warning about something and you actually see it, it is best actually to stay away from those people. However close they are to you, however forgiving and loving you are of God, you need to stay away. You need to have boundaries. One thing you need to learn in life is boundaries to people who can actually cause harm to you, because God is going to protect you, but you're going to be the first person to give him permission to do that. When God told, each time David was going to fight, he could ask God, should I go? Will I win the battle? And when God said yes, he could go. But if God tells you to not go somewhere, like I am going to give an example of the younger prophet in the Bible and the elder prophet. Do you remember the story of Elsa? So the elder prophet plans to kill the younger prophet, and the younger prophet, God refuses to eat at all. Oh, God help me to remember the story right. He refuses him to eat, but the younger prophet is deceived by the elder prophet, and he's actually killed. God had warned him. So just because people are believers, it doesn't mean they cannot harm you. Just because they are family, it doesn't mean they can hurt you. If someone has shown signs of actually endangering you, that is enough proof to stay away from them and actually create a boundary. Stop overlooking threatening, like threats. Stop thinking that you can actually overpower threats. If someone threatens your life, however close you are to them, you need to be careful. You need to be careful when they give you something to drink. Don't even, like, if someone tells you something, believe it. The first time someone tells you, I am a liar, believe it for them. Do not try to find your way around it. If someone tells you first day, I am a thief, believe it. The first time someone tells you something, believe it for them that it is true, because no one speaks lies about themselves. And this is why my aunt knew all her life. She has heard stories and she has seen it herself too. And she knows who these people are. They are stepchildren, and they didn't like them. They always promised to kill them. Their aunt did not succeed, but it doesn't mean it has failed. They hated her because her dad loved her so much. She was the last born, and the dad had left her a pharmacy and a lot of things to possess if in case he passed away. They hated that. They hated the relationship she had with the dad, because they just wanted the dad to hate them. So they even remind them that their dad hated them, but he did not hate them. He was covered and blinded. So my aunt was warned constantly. Even when we were with her, my mom warned her, Eve, please, Eve. I don't know why Eve people never listen. If you're an Eve, you need to actually work on your listening skills. I'm sorry, y'all. Eve, do not come after me, y'all. So my mom warned her. She said, please do not go to these people's party. Please do not ever go to these people. Each time they came, she could go to them. She could always go to them, and she says to my mom, you guys need to learn how to forgive. You need to learn how to forgive and let go. These people love us. They have changed. My mom told her, no, we have forgiven them, but it doesn't mean we have to go to them, because they do not wish well for us. She said, no, you guys are not forgiving. She was that good. She was that good. So time reached and this party happened. The stepbrother had a party and they started preparing his ceremony. And then that evening, my mom calls and tells my aunt, do not go to the party. My spirit is not okay. Please do not go to the party. And my aunt is like, dress up, let's go, let's go. People are different. But people who love you, they want you truly. It's not that they try to resist you. They are trying to protect you. Parents, when they're telling you something, please do not go here. You're going to get issues when you walk in the night. When you go to clubs, something is going to happen to you. when you choose to have many partners, you might actually get sick and die. These, like, there are warnings that come that look like threatening, but they're actually protecting. So people who protect you in that way, take it for them, because they're trying to protect you, they're not trying to harm you. So my mom called and said, I don't want you to go, my spirit is not okay, please do not go. She said, I'm going. You do not want to forgive, I am going, it's up to you guys. My grandma, that evening, she started chasing my auntie with a rod, chasing her around. Take those clothes off, you're not going anywhere. Take those clothes off, you're not going anywhere. She started chasing my auntie. She started chasing my auntie with a rod around. And my aunt ran around until my grandma got tired. She said, okay, you go. And my other aunt had already dressed up and made up. She's ready for the party. And my aunt, she decides to go. She starts walking with her. My mom watches. My mom continues to call and call. Her phones are not picked up. She says, she told me, Sherry, I'm not okay. My aunt had already gone. So she went. The party started. They noticed that people of the kingdom, I'm going to talk about the kingdom of the enemy in the stories to come. So subscribe. They are serious. They work with the enemy. When they spot you, they are ready to destroy you. If you're not careful, you can actually be destroyed. So my aunt reaches to the party. They see her. They see her sister. They don't care much for her sister, because her sister has a problem I won't talk about. That's so private. I don't really want to go there. So they don't really care about her, because they feel like that will deal with her or whatever. They care about her, who is the heir of the dad, most of the special thing, and mostly because she comes from this family they hate that has succeeded. My mom made the first marriage. For them, they're not married, and this specific woman, she even has no children. She's like the stepmom, but the stepmom told this girl, she said, I've died when I don't have a child, because she knew that this girl was in hand to kill her. She said, I've died without a child, but you are going to die without a husband, and you're going to die without a child. And that is what has happened to her. She's like so old, older than my mom. She has never gotten married, and she does not have children. So they reach the party, and the party starts going on. They cook, they eat, and they're laughing. People who kill you will actually laugh in your face. They will smile, but they will say it. See, the people in the kingdom of the darkness, they speak. When they speak these words, the problem is that for us, we do not take the words for them. When someone says, I serve the devil, they are not joking. They are not playing around. When someone says, I actually do sacrifices, they are not lying. If someone comes out and says, I am a witch, they are not lying. It's actually happening. It's just that you're blinded, and then you want to cover it and be like, they are playing, they're just joking around. No, they're not. Those people mean the words they say. So they were cooking, and then my aunt was dancing because of the stepbrother. Of course, the stepbrother did not have a hand in it. They're celebrating, and my other aunt, she's having fun. And this is what happens when she goes to ask for the liver. No, she did not ask, they called her. So they picked part of the sauce and they put poison in the sauce. When they put poison in the sauce, they call her, Eve, come. She was old, of course. She was 20 years old. They said she was so happy. She was open-minded. She loved them regardless. And she said, here, I've cooked food for you. So they pretended to love her for a long time. They stole her heart. So they could, speak ill about the rest of the sisters, but they could show her love. So she thought she was on their side. They were on her side. They were not. If someone does not love your mother, they don't love you. If someone hates the mom, they can't love the child. If someone hates the child, they don't love the parent. If you have a man in the house that hates your children, kick that man out of your house. Stop building relationships with people who actually don't love your children and do not, like, they don't love you. They're using you and you see it. So she was blinded, thinking they hate my sisters and my mom, but they love me. So she eats. And the sister who would have warned her to not eat a separated sauce, she was having fun. After, these are the words they told her. They said, after this party, we are going to have your party. Those are the words they say to her. And she was confused. She laughed. She thought they meant her wedding. She will have a wedding. She came and told our aunt. You know what? She said, that woman that I won't say the name, she said that after this party, we are going to have my party. My aunt said, what happened? She said, I don't know. They just maybe meant she didn't say it. So they continued with the party. That night, they slept at my grandfather's house. My grandfather is inside. He's old. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know the scheme. He doesn't know what's happening. And this is what happened. In the night, my aunt says, the one who was pregnant, she says, that woman, their stepsister, spent the entire night touching in them, calling Eve and saying, Eve, are you okay? And she said, I'm okay. So my auntie's spirit was like, why is she asking? But she didn't care. So my aunt, they slept a night. But my aunt woke up very early in the morning, my aunt Eve. And she said, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And that woman said, quickly, go back to your mom. Go back to your mom's house so that you rest. Go to your mom's house. It's going to be they play music after. They're going to play music. It's going to be loud. Go back to your mom and rest. And she said, that's true. So she tells my aunt to go home. And my aunt says, no, I'm staying for the party until the party is completely over for the second day. So my aunt stayed. And my aunt started walking a long distance back home. And they used to drive her back home, but that day she walked. She came back home. Our grandfather's home isn't so far from where they had built the place. So they started walking. She started walking alone. But she found people on the road, and people loved her because she was like this free spirit. And she was like, oh, Eve, you come back from the party, she says. I don't feel good. That's why I'm going home. But the party was good. It was fun. They said, okay, so she walked and she started going back home. And she reached home. She started telling my grandma the story of the party. Oh my God, this and this happened to the party. She narrated the story. She forgot to talk about the part where she ate food. And because she was telling the story, she didn't pay attention to how she was feeling. And the poison started getting deeper and deeper, eating her up. And then my mom called because she was like not okay. She called and she said, Eve, how are you? What's up? She started telling my mom stories about the party. The entire night she was telling my mom stories. My mom said, okay, thank God you're okay. Thank God you're okay. And she said, yeah, I'm okay. And that night she danced for my grandmother. She started making jokes. She was a fun person, just like my dad. It's just the good people. It's just the good people. They usually go first. So she starts dancing for them. They play music and she dances and she creates jokes. There are jokes on the radio. So the radio people are creating jokes and my aunt is repeating after them and dancing for them. And my other aunt had returned that night, but she was angry at my aunt for leaving her there at the party. So they had a fight that night. They argued. And my aunt slept in another room, and then Aunt Eve also slept in her room where she usually sleeps. And this is what happens. As she goes to sleep, my grandmother that night, she starts feeling chills, and she starts feeling like small ants going through her entire body. And she says, ah. So before my aunt went to bed, she was bathing, and the dog started barking, coming with her. And my aunt started throwing stones at the dogs, chasing them away, but they continued howling like they are crying for someone who's going to die. And they are howling and crying. And my aunt bait them and our cousins, and they chased the dogs away. And my aunt finally gets in bed. And my grandma, she says she hears her daughter saying, Jesus, 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 take me well. Please take me well. So I think she had started leaving her body. She had her Bible that she slept with. She could put her Bible like at the edge of her, at her pillow. And she tells my grandma, I have a headache. I don't feel good. My grandma keeps checking on her and giving her water. She's like, Eve, are you okay? So when she started saying, Jesus, take me well, Jesus, take me well, my grandma comes to check on her. When she checks on her, she had turned. Where she puts the head, she was putting the legs. And she seemed asleep. And my grandmother said, finally she has slept, because she was going through the night. She was struggling through the night. And my grandma said, thank God she has found sleep. So she was sleeping, but she had changed where she was putting the head. She had put the legs. And my grandma went to bed. Everyone went to bed. Us in Kampala, we went to bed. And this is what happened. The next morning, I am at school. When we were coming back from school, still with my best friend, I tell my best friend, because in a distance, I see someone who looks like my aunt. I actually saw I feel like I saw her. I saw her. So I turned to my best friend and said, I saw Aunt Eve coming from that hill. And my best friend says, what? Didn't you say your aunt is in the village? Aunt Eve is in the village. She also knew Aunt Eve because when these demons, one time they attacked her and they started struggling her, and sometimes they could rape her. And we were playing cards, and they attacked her, and it strangled her when she was with us. So she was scared. So she knew her because of that. But she had healed. Everyone who met her loved her. People loved her at church. She was just a beautiful soul. So I was coming, so I tell Sharon, I have seen my aunt, and she says, Sherry, your aunt is in the village. I was like, yeah, but I really saw someone like my aunt sloping down that hill. It's crazy. She said, yeah. So we continued walking, going home, and that's the time where she was with me. So she was escorting me home. Sometimes she could escort me to my home, and then after I change, I escort her to her home. As children, as girls. So she escorted me, and we found our uncle from our great uncle who drinks a lot. He was called Michael. He could drink a lot. So he was drunk. He smelled like alcohol, and his eyes were red from like someone who has been crying. When he saw us, I remember we were climbing ladders to go home. He said, Sherry, Eve is dead. That's what he said. I looked at Uncle Michael and I said, what did you say? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? And Sharon said, Sherry, calm down. I said, I am going to tell Mama. Uncle Michael, I'm going. And he used to come home and like dine at home and then go to his home. You know, men when they're struggling. So I was like, because of what you've said, I'm going to tell Mama what you've said. When he looked at me, he shook his head like this. And he just continued his way, because I thought he was drunk, because I knew he could drink. So I thought he was drunk. I was pissed. I told Sharon, why would he say that? Why would he say that? So I went home complaining, heavy-hearted. When we reached home, I saw, so for us in our house, because there are verandas, neighbors come and sit on the veranda if you've lost someone. I saw people sitting on the veranda, and my heart skipped actually. When my heart skipped, these people were looking at me with a sad face, like, you know, pitying you because you've just lost someone. And when I came in the front door, my mom ran and hugged me and said, Sherry, Sherry, Eve is dead. Sherry, Eve is dead. I lost energy. I fell on my knees, and my mom still holding me. And my mom, she had cried that she wasn't crying. She was just like, that's how she was. That's how broken she was. And this is what happened. They wake up in the morning, and my grandmother, she's in the kitchen. And in the village, they wake up so early in the morning. And my grandmother is in the kitchen preparing breakfast. It's like not a normal kitchen. So it's just like woods and iron sheets up. And then my aunt could drink milk every morning. There is this woman who had, my auntie's dad, my grandfather, could pay this woman to bring my aunt milk every day. So she could bring milk, and then my aunt had like some maids who were working in her field, because that's how the dad loved her so much. So she had a field, and then there were people working on the field for her. So these people were working. No, they came in the morning to collect money from our Aunt Eve to go buy some things to go and work in the field. And then this woman had come for milk. And then this woman asks my grandma and says, where is Eve? I want to talk to her about the party, what happened. And my grandma says, she's sleeping. I don't know why she's taking so long today. She's sleeping. She had a rough night. She said, go inside in her room. So the woman went inside. When the woman went inside the room, she touched my aunt, and she was cold. So she didn't tell my grandmother. She called our uncle, the step brother to my mom, our uncle who lives close to my grandmother's place. They're neighbors, but you know, with the village, you're separated with like forest, like there is a separation. So when that woman goes and calls our uncle comes in quick. My grandma sees my uncle and is like, oh, what, Bala, what are you doing? What did I say then? He said, what are you doing here? He says, it's okay, I just have things to discuss with Eve. So he gets inside. When he gets inside, my grandma gets an instinct. It's like, what's going on? So she comes. When she's coming, she hears my uncle on the phone call with the dad saying, Mzee, that's a name for grand people. And he was saying, Dad, Eve is dead. That's what my grandma had. When my grandma had that, she ran in the forest. Like, she just ran and hit a banana plantation, and she was like about to go through it, and then when she hit it, she fell down and she fainted. She lost consciousness. So they ran and they caught her from where she was, and they brought her close. And this is what happened. My aunties rushed and dressed up and ran to the cars to go to the village. And my mom went the following day. They went the night. She had to go in the morning. When they turned, our aunt Eve, she started throwing up blood, but she was already dead. So this is the blood that was coming out of all her inner organs. Blood fuming through the bed sheets, through the walls, everywhere. And that blood spoke to God. She like blood everywhere, from her nose, from her mouth, from everywhere. They started screaming. They screamed, they screamed, they screamed. And our aunt, who was pregnant, she had lost it. My mom kept crying through the night. We cried. She was my favorite. And there was no money for me to go because my sister had gone with my mom. And I had to look for transport to take me the next day. And my mom had called the pastor, but the pastor told me to look for some money, half of it. And there was nothing, but I looked for that money and went. They cleaned her themselves. They cleaned her hair. They cleaned her body, full of blood. And she was gone. But because she did not listen, because she trusted the people that had already spoken to her, they showed hate, but she did not listen. She thought they could change. There are people who are not going to change. You have to be careful when you're making decisions. You have to be careful when you eat from people's homes. You have to be careful with the people who show jealousy when you step up. You have to be careful with people who stay away from you when you succeed. You have to be careful with people who hate to see you successful. You have to be careful with people who actually don't love you and they show it. So we went, and for me, when I reached there and saw her, she was asleep, just like my papa. And I'll tell you the story of my papa, it's coming. But this is where I'm going to stop today. All I'm going to say to you is that in life, we have to be careful. We have to live a life of prayer. But when you have warnings from God, when He warns you of something, don't do it. When He passes through someone and they call you and they say, please do not do this, don't do it. If you are going somewhere and your instincts tell you, do not drive today, don't drive. If you feel any voice like limiting you to do something that you are supposed to do, just don't do it. Listen to that voice, because sometimes it's actually protecting you from danger, protecting you from people who actually want to take life, protecting you from the enemy's schemes. Like, we have to be careful. That stayed with me because she was my favorite, and because of that attachment, I mostly have like dreams that when like demons use that, and I've prayed that, so that has gone slowly healing up. But that wound cannot heal. That's why I say we all have wounds in our lives, wounds that cannot heal, but only God can heal them. We've prayed for healing, but the scars actually stay when you heal. The scars stay, and they're always loud. And those have taught us to be careful. Each time I try not to be careful and like try to overlook things, I remember the things that have happened in my life, and I actually learn. So to you who has not seen these things in your life, be careful too in your workplace, the people you work with, the people you live with in your house, the people you bring in your homes, the people you bring your children to. Yeah, that's all I'll say. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like, please. Subscribe. Like, comment, and share. I just posted a stretch. Go stretch before bed. We are going to be stretching later on the live. So if you're a member, please be there. And I'm going to chat with whoever will be online. while I am stretching for a few minutes before I go to bed. But you guys, I love you so much, and that was all for today. I just wanted to end that house so that we don't go back to that house, and because I told you before that I was going to tell you that. So my mama also went through that pain, and that was not the only pain she faced. That's not the only death she faced that was painful. That was just the beginning, and she had experienced that before. But you know what? She didn't give up. Continued praying and trusting God, because some of the things that happen to us are actually not God's fault. They are our own mistakes, and we need to acknowledge them, and we stop blaming God for all the things that happen in our lives. Sometimes we are warned and we don't listen. Sometimes we are given a chance and we do not use it. Like, that's what always happens. I love you guys a lot. Say something. Hit me with a few questions, just like for 2 minutes, and I'll be leaving. Tired. Have to go prepare so that I can do the live later before I go to bed. To everyone that has subscribed, thank you so much. So if you're confused about this channel, we have story time every single day, and I'm gonna try to be cutting time to only 1 hour. It's just as today we started early, but only 1 hour, and I'm gonna be strict on that, so we can continue later. But this, we only have story time. Just I share stories that I know and I've seen and I've heard of, and that can help you in a situation where you are in, thinking that you're alone in that. You're not alone. So, you know, just to spend some time with you guys before bed and to learn new things every single day. And then we stretch too every single day. So subscribe, like, comment, and share. If you want to support me, you can become a member, or you can always like leave thanks or whatever, or you can text me and reach me out if you really want to help or anything like that. But you already do enough to subscribe and to watch everything that I post. So I appreciate you, and I love you guys a lot. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and I'll see you in the next one, because I do not have comments. But you can leave your comments or questions in the comments, and I'll answer them. I love you. Have a wonderful night, everybody. A wonderful night.